There is no battlefield more sacred or more dangerous than the space between your ears. Because the war isn't out there. It never was. The war is within. And most people lose, not because they're weak, not because they're incapable, but because they never learned the truth. If you do not rule your mind will rule you. It will dress your fears in logic. It will decorate your wounds as personality. It will wrap your trauma in habits and call them just the way I am. Your mind is a master shapeshifter. If you do not take command of it, it becomes your prison guard. But if you do, if you learn to command it with presence, power, and precision, then it becomes your greatest ally. Your sword, your sanctuary, your liberation. Because every outcome in your life, your relationships, your wealth, your peace, all of it begins in one place, your mind. You were not born to be ruled. You were born to remember the throne. But the throne doesn't sit in gold. It doesn't wear a crown. It sits behind your eyes, and it wears awareness. The problem is not that the world is too loud. It's that you've handed your mind to every voice but your own. Social scripts, cultural myths, inherited guilt, and your thoughts, they stopped being yours a long time ago. The mind left untrained is not neutral. It doesn't just observe. It invents meaning where there is none. It protects illusions at the cost of your future. It will sabotage the exact thing you say you want, just to avoid the unknown. But that ends here. Because ruling your mind doesn't mean suppressing it. It means leading it. It means awakening the sovereign self who no longer reacts to life, but architects it from within. This is Cyphoria, the sacred disorientation that happens when the soul starts taking back territory from the unconscious. You feel it when you question the thought you've repeated for decades. You feel it when you interrupt the story that made you small, silent, and acceptable. You feel it when your mind fights back because it knows you're no longer under its spell. Cyphoria is not comfort. It's cleansing. It's the madness before alignment, the chaos before creation, the scream before sovereignty. Your mind doesn't want to be ruled. It wants to rule. It wants to stay in the loop, in the lie. It wants to keep you thinking instead of waking up. But every time you name the lie, you shatter the illusion. Every time you break the pattern, you reclaim your power. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, you reclaim your throne. That is the mind's greatest fear, you remembering who you are. Mindset is a sword, and most people are cutting themselves with it because they never learned how to hold it. You can't think like a victim and live like a king. You can't fuel your days with doubt and expect destiny to bloom. Your mindset is not a detail. It is the door to strength, to clarity, to peace. But here's what they never told you. A strong mindset isn't positive. It's discipline. It doesn't believe everything it thinks. It questions. It watches. It redirects with precision. Because a mind left unchecked becomes a megaphone for your wounds. But a mind ruled with awareness becomes the architect of your transformation. Rule your mindset, and you won't need motivation. You won't need validation. You'll have inner command. Belief is not just what you think is true. It's what you live as law. And your life is a reflection of the laws your unconscious mind is still obeying. Who wrote them? Who told you what you were worth? Who convinced you that love had to be earned? and rest had to be deserved? Who told you to seek permission before existing fully? Those aren't beliefs. They're bonds. And as long as your mind is ruled by inherited laws, you will build a future that still belongs to your past. You must overthrow the inner regime, not with rage, but with awareness. Every belief you upgrade creates a new room in your reality. Every lie you destroy releases more of your mental bandwidth to build. This is the sacred revolution, to no longer obey a belief that would rather keep you safe than make you sovereign. Clarity is not a feeling. It's a commitment to see, to cut, to confront. You do not find clarity in more thinking. You find it in the brutal honesty of looking at the thoughts you've protected and asking, is this mine? Is this true? Is this serving me or sedating me? Most people confuse confusion with complexity, but their minds aren't complicated. They're cluttered. Clarity comes when you clean, when you purge every mental parasite that sounds like you, but lives to limit you. Clarity doesn't come from answers. It comes from cutting away what doesn't belong. And what remains is truth. And truth is immovable. Vision is not imagination. It is the inner blueprint of your unshaken self. You cannot build what you cannot see. And your mind, when ruled by fear, blinds you. It shows you the worst case future and calls it preparation. It shows you the past and calls it prophecy. It keeps you loyal to survival when your soul is screaming for expansion. Vision is the declaration. I no longer serve what once protected me. It's the moment you say, I am done living under the ceiling I inherited. The mind hates vision because vision moves you beyond logic, beyond comfort, beyond identity. But the self without vision is just a mirror for the world's expectations. It may function, it may perform, but it never creates. Rule your vision, or you will build someone else's dream and call it success. Purpose is a compass. It doesn't need to be pretty. It needs to be true. If your mind doesn't know what it's anchored in, then every distraction becomes a detour. Every rejection becomes a breakdown. Every failure becomes proof of unworthiness. Purpose interrupts that. It says, this is where we're going. No matter how we feel today, your purpose is not just what you do. It's the why behind your willpower. It's what reminds you you are not here to stay sane in a sick world. You are here to build, to disrupt, to become whole. And your mind, when led by purpose, no longer drifts, it drives. Purpose reclaims your attention from the algorithm, from the shame, from the noise, and brings it home to the self that remembers. Discipline is devotion, not to rules, but to who you said you would become. The undisciplined mind is not lazy. It's unled. It reacts instead of responds. It consumes instead of creates. It chooses ease over evolution and then wonders why nothing changes. But discipline, real discipline, is a declaration of identity. It's the soul saying, I know who I am, and I'm willing to act like Itivan when it's hard. You don't rise because you feel like it. You rise because the version of you that no longer fits the future you've chosen. Every time you say yes to the path, every time you show up through resistance, you prove to your own mind, I am the one in charge now. That proof stacks. That discipline builds memory, and memory builds momentum. You no longer wonder if you're capable. You remember what you've already survived. You remember the days you did it afraid, the nights you stayed when it hurt, the mornings you chose the work over the excuse. Discipline is not punishment. It is a sacred loyalty to the truth inside you, the truth that says, I didn't come this far to betray myself now. Action is the assassin of doubt. You can journal forever, affirm forever, plan forever, but nothing will destroy the tyranny of the mind. Like one unapologetic step forward. You want confidence? Earn it. You want clarity? Move. You want transformation? Do something about it. The mind will throw every reason at you to stay still. Every scenario, every past failure, every phantom version of the future where everything breaks. But none of it is real until you obey it. Action doesn't ask for your belief. It creates it. You don't need to wait until the fear is gone. You need to act in such a way that the fear realizes it no longer rules here. Rule your feet, rule your hands, and the mind will follow. Because when your body moves in alignment with your highest self, your thoughts rewire themselves to match. This is how you escape the loop. This is how you stop thinking and start living. Gratitude is not soft. It is a weapon, a refocusing of power. When the mind is ruled by scarcity, everything is a threat. Everyone is a competitor. Every delay is personal. But when you rule your mind with gratitude, you shift out of defense and into ownership. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means seeing through it. It means knowing, even this will serve me. Even this will grow me. Even this is mine to shape. And when you're grateful, not just for what's easy, but for what shaped you, you become unshakable. No one can weaponize your past. When you've blessed it, no one can shame your scars. When you've named them sacred, gratitude makes the mind your ally, because it reminds you you have never been without power, only without perspective. And now you see, adaptability is not compromise. It is strategic transformation. It is what allows the strong to stay strong, even when the rules change. The people change, the path disappears. A rigid mind crumbles under pressure. A ruled mind shifts with precision. It adapts because it is rooted in purpose, not in ego. Your identity is not set in stone. It is forged in fire. And fire requires movement, requires agility, requires a mind that says, I am allowed to outgrow who I was without apology. Your adaptability does not weaken your identity. It upgrades it, because your mission never changes, but your method must. You are not here to die on a hill built by your younger self's fear. You are here to evolve with vision. That's what adaptability is. Self-leadership in motion. Truth, pivoting without breaking. Strength, that bends without shattering. Resilience is how you know the mind has bowed to the soul. Because life will hit you. And the question is never, will I fall? It's, who do I become when I rise? The mind ruled by fear breaks and begs to go back. The mind ruled by truth builds something stronger from the wreckage. You don't rise the same. You rise wiser. You rise emptier of illusion. You rise closer to the core. Resilience isn't about ignoring pain. It's about refusing to make it your identity. You don't need to fake strength. You need to anchor it in memory, in the fact that you faced worse, in the fact that you bled and kept building, that you burned and kept believing. Resilience is not about hardening. It's about deepening. It's about walking with scars and still choosing love, still choosing vision, still choosing to rule your mind with conviction, not conditions. That's what separates those who collapse from those who become legend. Learning is the discipline of kings. You cannot rule your mind if you stop studying it, because the moment you think you know everything, your mind slips out the back door and becomes your master again. A strong self studies its own reactions, watches its own thoughts, tracks the subtle manipulations that try to pull it off course, and not to judge, but to master. You don't need more answers. You need deeper observation. You need to watch yourself like someone watching a kingdom, making sure no intruder crosses the border without being named and questioned. Every trigger is a teacher. Every flaw is feedback. Every relapse is a redirection. Learning is how you sharpen your crown, how you tune your sword, how you rise every day, not as someone trying to win, but as someone who already owns the battlefield. And now you've remembered. The world outside you will not stop shifting. But now it doesn't matter, because you've done the one thing that renders everything else powerless. You've taken back the throne. You've stopped begging for clarity. You became it. You've stopped performing confidence. You embodied it. You've stopped fearing the chaos. You rule from within it. The lies still whisper, but they don't command. The fear still rises, but it doesn't dictate, because now your mind doesn't own you. You own it. You are the voice now. You are the author. You are the sovereign ruler of the most powerful kingdom you'll ever govern, yourself. And when you rule your mind, no one else can. Not shame, not culture, not history, not fear, not failure. You walk different, think different, create different. You are not unshaken, because life got easier, but because your mind is no longer the enemy. It is your sword, your sentinel, your servant. You become the one they cannot shake, the one they cannot break, the one they cannot own, because you now rule what was once ruling you. And that changes everything. They told you the war was out there in the world, in the economy, in politics, in people who betrayed you. But the battlefield has always been within. And the most dangerous war is the one where you don't even know who the enemy is. You wake up every day to a mind that's already talking, already judging, already doubting, already whispering your limits before you've even stood up. And you never stop to ask, whose voice is that? Because it's not yours, not the real you, not the voice that was born with you, wild, curious, sovereign, unbreakable. That voice was buried beneath 1,000 others. The voice of the teacher who told you to sit down. The voice of the parent who couldn't love what they didn't understand. The voice of society that measured your worth in silence, obedience, and conformity. The voice of religion, of media, of broken people projecting their brokenness onto your mirror. And now you live in a haunted mind. You carry ghosts in your head. Whispers of failure, of shame, of never enough. You believe they are your thoughts, but they are inherited fears, passed down like curses from generations that never heal. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This isn't fate. This is programming, and it's time to unlearn it. Because the real you, the eternal you, is not afraid, not confused, not small. That voice inside you that says run, that says hide, that says stay quiet, that voice was planted, and you keep watering it. But you were never meant to be a garden for other people's weeds. You were meant to be wildfire, uncontrollable, unapologetic, uncaged. The thoughts you hear are not the problem. The belief that they belong to you is. Not every voice in your head is yours. And you need to know the difference fast. Because if you don't, you'll build your life around the wrong identity. You'll climb ladders leaning on walls that don't lead home. You'll marry people who mirror your trauma, not your truth. You'll take jobs that feed your ego but starve your soul. You'll settle. You'll shrink. And you'll smile while doing it. Because the voice said, you should be grateful for crumbs. That voice is a liar. And the first step to freedom is confrontation. Mindset. Your mindset is not a motivational poster. It's not a weekend seminar or an Instagram quote. It is your operating system. And most people's systems are corrupted. They run on scarcity, on shame, on the idea that success must come through suffering, that love must come with sacrifice, that joy must be earned. But that's not mindset, that's mental slavery. Jung warned us, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Why? Because if you face your soul, you also face your lies, your compromises. The masks you've worn for so long, you've forgotten what your face looks like. Changing your mindset is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. It's about uninstalling the beliefs that were never yours to carry. It's about burning the scripts and writing your own story in your own blood with your own hand. That is the rebirth. And it's painful because the ego will scream. The false voices will fight. They will say, who do you think you are? They will say, you've changed. Yes, you have. Because you finally decided to stop hosting parasites in your mind. You stopped being the echo of someone else's trauma. You stopped being the puppet of expectations that have nothing to do with your purpose. You stopped being available to the voice that profits off your fear. Belief. If mindset is the soil, belief is the root. And most of your beliefs were planted in you, not chosen by you. You didn't come into this world believing you were too much or not enough. You learned that. Someone taught you to be ashamed of your fire, to dim your genius, to apologize for your presence. They told you to color inside the lines of a life that was never drawn for your kind of soul. Belief is powerful because it doesn't ask for proof. It creates it. Whatever you believe becomes the lens you wear. You'll find evidence for anything your belief system tells you. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll sabotage every gift you touch. If you believe the world is cruel, you'll never see kindness when it knocks. If you believe you're broken, you'll only attract people who confirm that narrative. So the question is not, what's true? The question is, what do you believe and who taught you to believe it? If the answer is pain, then it's time to rewire the system. Not with positive thinking, but with brutal honesty. With clarity. Clarity. You cannot heal what you won't see. You cannot change what you won't name. Clarity is not comfort, it's confrontation. It's sitting with yourself in the dark and saying, I am not okay, but I am not broken. I am not perfect, but I am powerful. I have listened to lies, but I will not obey them anymore. Clarity is cutting through the noise until only your voice remains. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of culture, not the voice of the person who tried to break you and called it love. Clarity is sacred violence. It kills illusions so truth can breathe. And when you are clear, you stop begging for permission. You stop outsourcing your decisions. You stop explaining your boundaries. You realize you don't owe the world your peace, you owe it to yourself first. Vision. You cannot build what you cannot see. And most people don't lack potential, they lack vision. They can't see themselves as free, so they stay in cages. They can't see themselves as loved, so they chase crumbs. They can't see themselves as leaders, so they follow anything loud enough. Your vision is the architecture of your future. It's not fantasy, it's frequency. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are willing to become. You don't get the life you fantasize about in secret. You get the one you fight for in silence. The one you build with discipline. Discipline is the language of self-respect. The proof that you are no longer negotiating with the voices that want you to stay small. Discipline doesn't say, I feel like it. Discipline says, I decided. And decisions rewrite destinies. Discipline creates momentum. Momentum creates identity. And identity is how you break the loop of your past. Action. Healing is not a thought. It's not a journal entry or a meditation app. It's movement. Your body holds your trauma. So your soul demands you move. Out of the room. Out of the relationship. Out of the identity that no longer fits. You don't think your way out. You act your way out. Even if your legs shake. Even if your hands tremble. Even if the voice in your head screams louder than ever. Move anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fear. It's rebellion in the presence of it. And when you move, when you speak, when you decide, when you refuse to sit quietly anymore, that's when the false voices begin to die. That's when the real voice, the original one, the ancient one, returns. Not the loudest voice, the deepest one. The one that doesn't shout but shakes the ground when it whispers. Gratitude isn't weakness. It isn't soft. It isn't passive. Gratitude is weaponry when it's forged in pain. It's the roar that says, even after all that tried to bury me, I still found something sacred in the dirt. It's a refusal to let bitterness become your identity. Most people think gratitude is about comfort. It's not. It's about clarity. The ability to say, this didn't go how I wanted, but it went how I needed. That heartbreak taught me boundaries. That failure taught me focus. That silence taught me to speak. Gratitude is not approval of your suffering. It's the authority you claim when you rise from it. When you're grateful, you take the blade out of your own hand. You stop stabbing yourself with what happened. You stop reliving the same chapter and pretending you're stuck. No, you're not stuck. You're just attached. But when you can bless the lesson and release the wound, you break the chain. You exit the loop. You become unshakable. And once you stop needing life to go your way to be powerful, you become undefeatable. Adaptability. The ones who survive aren't always the smartest or the strongest. They're the most adaptive. The ego resists change, but the soul evolves through it. Every collapse, every detour, every betrayal, it's initiation. Life isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to shape you. Break the parts of you that were never real. So what is real can finally breathe. You will not win this life by clinging. You will not reach peace by controlling. You will not find purpose by forcing. You find it when you flow with the fire. You find it when you let the old version of you die without grieving its funeral. You find it when you pivot boldly, not desperately. Don't be loyal to a version of you that no longer exists. Don't be addicted to an identity that was built from fear. Adaptability is the art of becoming who the moment requires, without losing who you truly are. It's transformation without betrayal, evolution with integrity, movement with meaning. You don't outmuscle the storm. You outgrow the version of you who was afraid of it. Resilience Resilience isn't toughness. It's not numbness. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's remembering your essence when everything around you forgets it. It's standing in the ruins of what you thought you needed and realizing, I'm still here, and I still want more. Resilience is spiritual rebellion. It's choosing to love again after betrayal, to try again after failure, to trust yourself again after you once ignored your own intuition. You do not build resilience by avoiding the fire. You build it by walking through it awake, not begging for rescue, not waiting for someone to save you, but becoming the force that no longer asks for permission to survive. Resilience says, I heard the voice that told me to give up. I heard the silence when no one checked in. I heard the shame when I failed. And I still showed up, not because I had to, because I chose to. That's power no one can take. Learning. The mind that thinks it knows everything is dead. The soul that is hungry for truth is alive. Learning is not about being right. It's about being real, curious, open, teachable. Most people don't learn, they defend. They defend their limitations. They defend their suffering. They defend the voices in their head because they've mistaken them for truth. But true learning, it's dismantling. It's the courage to say, maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's more. Maybe the version of reality I've been living was just survival, not freedom. Learning is not academic. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's experiential. You learn who you are not by being it for too long. You learn what you don't want by chasing it until it breaks you. You learn what you deserve by being denied it enough times to finally claim it without apology. And when you commit to learning, you commit to becoming, not fixing yourself, unfolding yourself. Integration, healing, is not just knowing, it's integrating. It's the embodiment of wisdom. You can quote Jung, you can meditate, you can attend retreats and read books, but if you go home and betray yourself again, none of it matters. Knowledge is potential. Integration is power. You integrate when your actions start matching your insights. You integrate when you no longer abandon yourself to be accepted. You integrate when your no is louder than your fear of rejection. You integrate when your boundaries don't require explanations. And integration is not a moment. It's a lifestyle, a devotion, a sacred promise to never go back to the self you had to survive as. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be honest enough to walk in the direction of your truth, even if it terrifies you, because that is where your power is buried. And finally, awakening. There will come a moment when you no longer recognize the voice in your head, because it no longer speaks fear, no longer echoes shame, no longer drips with the venom of people who never saw your worth. It speaks fire. It speaks vision. It speaks truth. You will wake up one day and the noise will be gone. Not because the world is quieter, but because you are stronger. You stopped mistaking every voice for your own. You stopped giving access to thoughts that weren't rooted in your highest self. You stopped bowing to ghosts. And in their absence, you heard something new. You, the real you. Not the programmed one, not the scared one, not the one who traded freedom for safety, but the you that was forged in fire, the one that remembers why you came here, the one that doesn't just survive the dark, the one who builds light inside of it. So listen closely. Not every voice in your head is yours. And the moment you realize that, you stop obeying, you start becoming, and the world We'll never be the same again.